Rolls-Royce is vowing to deliver a big jump in profits. The jet engine maker on Tuesday set a target of over $3.5 billion in operating profit over the medium term. With the ever-increasing requirement for fuel efficiency, jet engines have become larger and more powerful than ever. The General Electric GE9X is the biggest jet engine ever produced. However, Rolls-Royce is taking things to new levels with their Rolls-Royce Ultrafan. This huge engine is a sneak peek into the future. But does this mean that Rolls-Royce is taking over the aviation industry? Just how big is this new engine? Let's find out. Before we talk about how big and strong this new engine is, let's understand why they're making it. For the past 10 years, airplane companies have been working hard to make engines that use less fuel and are nicer to the environment. They're worried about climate change and too much carbon in the air. They want to stop the United Nations prediction that emissions will triple by 2050. Airlines are starting to look into using sustainable aviation fuel. This fuel comes from things like old cooking oil or algae, not from regular oil like before. It's a big change, but it's worth it because it can help cut down on pollution from airplanes. Airbus is taking the lead in using sustainable aviation fuel for all its planes by 2030. This has set off a competition among engine makers like Pratt & Whitney, Rolls-Royce, and GE Aerospace. They all want to create engines that are good for the environment and strong enough for the new planes of the future. Not only that, but even companies are teaming up too. We have CFM International, which is a partnership between GE Aerospace and Safran, and International Aero Engines with Rolls-Royce, Pratt & Whitney, and others. They're all working hard to be part of this eco-friendly race. Demand is back. It's totally back. Where is supply? We've gone from an unprecedented shock of demand back in 2020 to what we see today, which is an unprecedented shock of supply. Many engines from various companies are now available, showing how they're getting better at saving fuel and being eco-friendly. Pratt & Whitney's Pure Power PW1100G engines, especially the PW135GJM type, are a great example. They use 16% less fuel and make 75% less noise, which is impressive. These engines are used in planes like the Airbus A321neo. That's not all. There's also CFM International's LEAP engines. The LEAP 1A engine, introduced in 2016, is a top choice for efficiency and being kind to the environment. It's used in planes like the Airbus A320neo. GE Aerospace also has this really strong engine called the GE9X high bypass turbofan engine. It used to be the biggest jet engine until Rolls-Royce made their Ultrafan, but the GE9X is made just for the Boeing 777X and hasn't been fully tested yet. But what about Rolls-Royce? Well, they have had some tough times in this competition. Their latest engine, the Trent XWB-97, was made in 2014, and now they're working hard to catch up in the engine race. Even though it's Rolls-Royce's strongest engine right now, it was made before people cared a lot about being eco-friendly in aviation. So, the Trent XWB-97 powers the longer-range A351,000, so it's a heavier aircraft. So how does it achieve this greater thrust? Through a combination of factors: its advanced fan dynamics, it's got a higher temperature in its turbine, and it has a larger core. Through that, it's able to achieve the greater thrust of 197,000 pounds. Rolls-Royce lost a lot of money on the XWB engine project because of COVID-19. Also, they mostly make engines for big planes, but more people want engines for smaller planes now. Now, what did Rolls-Royce do about this? They introduced the Ultrafan idea. This was back in 2014. They thought it would be a new engine for planes, but because Airbus and Boeing didn't show much interest, they decided to use it to try out new technologies instead. They started testing the Ultrafan engine at a huge facility in the UK in early 2023. For the first test, they used 100% sustainable aviation fuel. Then, in April 2023, they ran the Ultrafan demonstrator for the first time. What are the notable features of the Ultrafan engine? Well, it's really big. It's even larger than the GE9X, which was the largest engine before. It's so big that its diameter is wider than the body of a Boeing 737 plane. The Ultrafan is 140 inches wide, which is almost 4% bigger than the one before it. That's why it's called the world's largest engine. But it's not just about its size. The Ultrafan could change how we fly because it's more efficient, makes less pollution, and performs better than other engines. So how does the Rolls-Royce Ultrafan operate? Basically, it's a turbofan engine made up of important parts: a fan, compressor, combustor, and turbine. The fan's main job is to suck in air and split it into two parts. One part goes through the middle, where it gets squeezed, mixed with fuel, and lit up to make power. Engineers need years to design an airplane engine. Some of these engines are so ingenious that they win Guinness World Records. The other part goes around the middle, adding even more power. The ratio between these two parts, called the bypass ratio, is very important because it affects how well the engine works and how loud it is. But that's not all. The Ultrafan has a really high bypass ratio, about 15:1. They achieved this by making a big fan and a small core. This not only makes the engine work better, but also makes it lighter and simpler. Also, they added a special gearbox to connect the fan to the turbine. This lets the fan spin at a different speed than the core, which helps it work better. During testing, this gearbox made a huge 64 megawatts of power, breaking a record in aerospace. Another cool thing about the Ultrafan is its fan blades, made from carbon.